Well, we'd like to welcome everybody back. We're sitting here with Supervisor Serdy. Thanks for sitting down and taking some time to
Sure, I've been looking forward to it.
Podcasts. And I know we talked a little bit beforehand and everything, but just kind of give our listeners and our viewers a little bit of background on yourself, if you would. You know, where you came from, how you got here, and what brought you into politics. Because you're a businessman. I think most people are aware of that. An entrepreneur. So, yeah, we'd love to hear that story.
Okay. So I'm from southeastern Ohio originally, which is the foothills of Appalachia. And it kind of offends people why I came here, but back in the 1980s, where I'm from, it's very remote, like I said, very hillbilly-ish. And back then, my family grew up, my brother and I, trapping. And in the 1980s, there was a CITES treaty where spotted cats got very expensive. And Arizona had spotted cats that were legal. The only legal cat in America was the bobcat. And I actually came out here to trap, and just one thing led to another, and I ended up out here. But people think that's cruel, but animals don't live forever. You know, you can't stockpile animals, and we eat animals, and they make our life better, and and they're beautiful, and that was that's how I got here, believe it or not.
Okay.
Then once I got here, I got into my former father-in-law's business, which was importing things to sell to wholesale into the swap meet flea market. And then with the company got a gun license because that was slow. It was a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So we got a firearms license, and I took to that. Did it for a while. Then I was out. I went away. I went into food service and delivering, which let me know tourism and the hotel business, because that's who we delivered to. Was
sure.
And you realize how much tourism is tied to hotels. And one of my things that I've been in office is, why can we not have a resort out here? Scottsdale has 20, Paradise Valley has 10, and we just have a little one in Gold Canyon Resort. But as we get into, you'll see why a resort would work and how tourism should be more than it is. But anyway, I also did, in between, I did an off-road tour business, which I learned more about tourism and how that works.
So was that like a Jeep off-road thing?
It was in a Isuzu Trooper. It was better than Jeeps because you weren't out in the open and you could talk. And yet they had those big windows.
Yeah.
And I just did an interview with Pinal Ways magazine about Box Canyon, which is in my district, and that'll be out soon. And but it got to be April. It was just like cutting off a faucet. Tourism ends. It gets hot. Mm-hmm. So it was a great job for a while. You drove people around, and they gave you money and talked to them. And I wasn't pretentious, like pretending to be a cowboy or anything. It was like your favorite nephew taking you on a tour.
Yeah.
And it was better than the Jeep tours in Sedona. And so then I went into the food service, and then I got the chance to start my own firearms business, which I did, and it took off. And there's been ups and downs over the years, and my business actually does better when things are not good. Every time there's been a boom in the firearm business, it was been Y2K, 2000, September 11th, 2001. The assault weapons ban expired in 2004. Everybody bought everything that they couldn't buy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then Obama happened, and they were coming after guns. And of course, the other side will say, "Oh, we've never took any gun." You tried to take every gun, and if they had their way, there would be no Second Amendment. So don't fall for that.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple incidents like Sandy Hook, which just made people buy. Even locally, we had there was the baseline rapist. People bought guns because of that.
Really?
The sniper out here, those things. Everybody, when people they take care of themselves, and because the government can't take care of you, so that's why the firearm business should always be here in the Second Amendment. And then Biden happened, and Biden again, they wanted the guns. People bought like crazy. They stripped everything off the shelves. So the store looked terrible, but business was great. The bank account was full. So then they overproduced and people overbought. Then the economy crashed a couple years ago, which you can't believe the news reports of how, oh yeah, things are great under Biden, and they're not. You know, it was all artificial, and it's coming out now that there weren't that many jobs produced, whatever.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of COVID money, and people spend
Yeah,
that on.
and then the COVID thing happened, and then you couldn't do this. But then, so right now, things are so calm. Trump won. Everybody went, Trump's in there. I don't have to buy guns anymore. I have 6 ARs. I'm going to sell 4 of them to pay for things because the economy's crashed.
Yeah.
So there's actually a glut of firearms and ammo now, which is great for the buyer,
Right.
not so great for the seller.
Yeah.
And then people, like you said, they've got so much stuff, they're selling it to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to stay like this for about a year until Trump repairs the economy and people get to. There'll also be a die-off of a lot of companies that just spring up and try to,
Take advantage.
capitalize off of the. But there's no guarantee that any business should stay in business. You know, look at the airlines that have gone out of business.
Sure.
Look at the car companies that don't exist. I don't really believe in propping them up. If they're going to die, they're going to die. You know, and there's probably 200 companies that make AR-15s right now, and we don't need that. You know, I think 50 or 60 would be fine. So you're going to see a die-off of things like that. So.
Yeah.
But I went on and on about that. I mean, I think this is geared towards the county. But
but no, this gives us a great background on your take on the reality and what that we're living in.
First Amendment and Second Amendment is what guides a lot of what we do.
Sure.
And the First Amendment, media, this is the First Amendment. This whole podcast, First Amendment, and it's not censored. If I slip up today, it's on me, nobody else. And what protects the First Amendment is the Second Amendment, which protects all the other amendments.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, too, in the last several years, how many people bought guns that had you told them 10 years ago they had no intention of buying it. But do you remember when the Tempe, this was after the George Floyd thing, the bridge, there was like an explosion on the bridge, and they lit the mall on fire in Scottsdale. I had people, they went to every gun store, they were out of guns. Came all the way out here, they were people that lived in an apartment in Scottsdale, they had smoke coming under their door, and they bought a gun. They had no intention of buying a gun.
Yeah, ever.
They'd moved over here from California, but time to buy a gun.
Yeah.
So, but in general, most people in Arizona are ready, and they do take care of themselves. Even to Canada, look at the way they have no First Amendment now. You can't say mean things. You could be arrested.
Yeah.
And
that's scary.
Look what happened to the truckers up in Canada. Everybody was rooting for them.
Yeah.
The government shut off their credit cards, shut off their bank accounts. And that's scary. That's why in my pocket right now I have cash. Keep cash alive. I have credit cards. I try not to use them. I encourage everybody to keep using cash and keep it alive. It's nobody's business what you buy, and they can't, with credit cards, they can just stop you. And hey, you've gone over your limit for this month with carbon credits and things like that. So keep cash alive, everybody.
Yeah. So is that kind of why you got into politics, or
there was a couple incidents that got me into politics.
Okay.
And I had my gun business going, and I had a Apache Junction police officer, this is when I lived in the city, came into my store and said, in hushed tones, you won't believe what we had to do. And they had an evidence room where they had been accumulating firearms and stuff for 15, 20 years. They had 1,200 firearms that were accumulated. Every time there's a traffic stop, a domestic violence, this gun gets seized, it was in evidence.
Sure.
And the chief of police at that time, instead of going before the city council and saying, hey, what do you want me to do with all these guns? He took it upon himself to rent a U-Haul, go to Miami to the smelter, and burned them. 1,200 firearms.
Whoa.
Had those been sold at auction, there would have been enough money to buy a couple police cars, vests for all the officers, etc.
Yeah.
And I actually went before the council because the cops couldn't talk about it. They didn't feel safe for their jobs. I went and called to the public, just like when I was the chairman, I never gavelled anybody in my whole year. And I never gavelled when I was the mayor. I believe in everybody having their right, unless they get really, really abusive.
Yeah.
I may have to gavel somebody today. So I spoke at call to the public. It came off well, and hey, Mr. Serdy, you need to run for city council. I can't do that. I was so bashful.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I could never speak like we are now, or speak intelligently either. And then another thing happened, tourism-wise. There was a proposal to do a hotel right down off of Tomahawk. And at the time, there was a little boom going on, and the council said, no, we don't want that. It's not nice enough. But the Chamber of Commerce, they needed it. We need places to stay. We need hotels, which is what drives tourism. And they voted it down. And a hotel never came. They never got a hotel ever since. And it was that on top of the firearm thing that made me run for city council when I won. And I've never lost an election since. I'm like 7-0.
Wow. That's quite the record.
Yeah, but I'm term limiting I'm not planning on running for anything, and I believe in term limits. I ran for 2 as city council, 2 as mayor. I've just started my second term as supervisor, and I don't see me running for anything else unless some incident happens that, hey, I got to go in there and do it. But,
yeah.
And I think that's the best type of an elected representative, is somebody that does it. I get asked all the time, do you like it? Do you enjoy it? No, I don't enjoy it. But it's satisfying knowing that if I wasn't there doing it, somebody would be there doing it that wouldn't be doing it the way they should be. And I have other things to do. I have a business. I don't take vacations, whatever. I could be doing other things, but I think I do a better job because of that, because I don't need this job. I don't need the little salary that comes with it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same way. You look all the way up to the president. Did he need to be president? Not really. No. But these people that want to get in office, and they run continuously, and we've got a couple of them running right now, one for governor and one for attorney general. They just want to be elected so bad because once they get that, they can get a... No, that's the wrong reason to be doing it. I do it because of the passion, and it's the right thing to do. And I try to make my votes count towards that as well.
You know, I've lived here 99.9% of my entire life, and I had no idea how any of the county worked up until about 6 months ago, and then we started.
Yeah,
digging
well, you
into all
guys
this.
came and interviewed me, and I laid out how a lot of it works, which we'll get into today.
Yeah, which was great. Yeah.
And one of the things I want to get out here early is I'm one of 5, and what you're hearing are my opinions of an elected person. I'm not staff. And there's a book of rules and ordinances and whatever. So if I say something, this is District 5 Supervisor's opinion and the way I see things.
Yeah.
You talk to the other 4, they may see it differently. County by county, you go to Pima County, that's a whole other world down there. I don't respect them. I don't like, they run themselves like California down there.
Yeah.
Maricopa County, they disgusted me the way they ran the last 2 elections. It shouldn't have been that way. I think people won that didn't really win, and it's going to come out and it's going to be proven. But Pinal County, we're kind of looked on by some of the more rural counties. We were rural. We're right in between. We're about to hit 500,000.
Yeah, we're growing.
And our sister counties are more like Yavapai and Mojave, where we're more independent. We're not urban like Pima and Maricopa.
Yeah, not controlled by these giant urban centers.
Yeah. Oh, well, the whole control, I mean, you got 5 million voters in Maricopa County, which dictate the way the whole state goes. And that's the way Nevada's that way too. You got Las Vegas and Reno and all of the ranchers, all the country people, they get outvoted by that. Well, Illinois is that way. Illinois has got good people. You got farm people, you got urban, rural people. Then way up here you got Chicago that dominates the whole state. And you get all the crappy rules from Chicago.
Yeah.
And you know, even California, which I hate, there's good people trapped over there in California.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the cities to the east up against the Sierras are some of the most conservative cities, towns, they're not cities, in the country.
Yeah.
But then you got San Francisco and Los Angeles, which just dominate it, drag the whole thing down. So we are 5 districts, and they're all different, which we're going to go to kind of impromptu. This is going to be a little bit different podcast than you do, where I'm just going to sit here in this chair. I'm going to use graphics back here. But all 5 of the districts are very different. And in the middle, you've got Santan Valley, which is in the process of incorporating.
Yes.
It'll instantly be the biggest city in Pinal County, over 100,000 people instantly. Right now, it's Maricopa has passed everybody up. It was Casa Grande.
Yeah.
Apache Junction was up there. Apache Junction's been growing slowly. Maricopa exploded. Casa Grande had a boom. They're up over 60. But Santan Valley instantly will have over 100,000. So part of the problem is, like we said, we were independent and rural, and we didn't plan ahead on the roads to handle all those people.
Yeah.
So now here we are 20, 30, 40 years after the fact, trying to build roads to handle all this. And that's one of the biggest obstacles. In Supervisor District 2, that's Mr. Goodman. He's got that urban district down there, and he's got different problems than the rest of the county has with the transportation. Just like over in District 1, you got Maricopa, one way in, one way out on 347. My district is an east-west district also with Highway 60. We don't really care what goes on down south, but on the weekend, if you try to go to the mountains to Globe Superior on the weekend in the middle of winter because of the Renaissance Festival, you can hardly get there. And all of that's on one. So that's why we need, which we may or may not get to, why we need the 24 built, and the north-south, which has now been given the designation of the 505, which will just relieve us all.
And I know there's a lot of people that have asked. We've gotten a lot of comments and stuff on the 24. So do you mind touching on that really quick, since it's on the table?
Well, you can't really touch on it really quick. We'll have to adjust the camera to go over to that one.
Can we do this one over here then?
Let's do this first.
Okay,
Let me explain.
Okay. Yeah.
And you guys were fascinated when we did that pre-interview about how the county is laid up. So I think this is already in focus. So this is Pinal County right there. This is the size of Connecticut. I'm from Ohio originally. It's 1/3 the size of Arizona, and it has 88 counties. Arizona is 3 times bigger, and it has 15 counties. So you can see how huge these counties are. We're the size of Connecticut, bigger than Rhode Island.
Even your district alone would encompass.
Yeah. And because of that, we have 1 county seat here in Florence, where back in the Midwest, every county seat's like 10 miles away, so your government here. And one of the things I've been trying to do is we're in a complex here in Apache Junction, have a building over there with development services in it. You shouldn't have to go all the way to Florence to get services. You should be able to get them here local. Same way in Maricopa, Casa Grande. Trying to bring government to the people because of that, because we don't have 88 counties, we have 1 big county.
Yeah.
But this color here, you can see this is District 5. We're sitting way up here in Apache Junction, the very north. And there's about 60, 70,000 people here. Then I also have down to Florence Junction, I have Superior, Kearney, Dudleyville, and the backside of Florence. So I have all of the mountains, not all of the tourism, but most of the pretty tourist draws because of the mountain. Yeah. And we'll look at this other map, you'll see the different ownership of this land, the public land managers, where if you go down here to District 3, Casa Grande, it's mostly private land. That's why they've had the factories down there. They also have I-10, I-8, and railroads. It's a perfect mix to bring that industry down there. That's why they have a couple car factories and whatever.
Yeah.
Then you've got Maricopa up here, basically just a community that just grew with a lot of flat. This tiny little district here, District 2, it's the biggest district here. There's more people here than in any of these others. And when we did the last election, we have to do the census, and we had to redistrict. And we tried to give every supervisor about 80 or 90,000 people. But District 2 has more than that. it was way out of whack before District 5 and District 1 had the fewest. But we did give everybody that many people, but District 2 is still growing faster than anyone. And then inside here we have, District 2 doesn't have any cities. When I say cities, that's towns also. I have Apache Junction, I have Superior and Kearney. They all have mayors and councils, they govern themselves, but it's up to the county to how can the county help them and all the people that don't live there. District 3 has Casa Grande and Eloy. District 1 only has Maricopa. District 4 has mostly Florence, part of Coolidge, and way down here in Saddlebrook, a lot of people down there, and Red Rock. And those folks, and this is here again, like I said, this is opinion, they're almost in Tucson's orbit. They would prefer to watch the Tucson TV stations because the Phoenix news way up here, it doesn't affect them. They're more affected by Tucson's news down there. So, and that's one of the things I think Supervisor McClure has actually been trying to get service for the Tucson stations down there. But that's how big this county is. And up here, with something's going on in Casa Grande, it really, my citizens up here don't care. You know, it helps the whole county, just like these folks here who, you know, we do care because it helps the economy, but what these folks up here, the job-wise, even though we have a lot of retirees too, I believe it's at least 80, possibly 90% of the people that live in Pinal County work in Maricopa County. So one of the things we are trying to do is why we like Casa Grande getting all this industry is live here, work here. And with that big, I don't know if you saw the videos of the LG plant, it's going to employ a lot of people. Up here where it says top of the world, that's where Resolution Copper is going to be. Lots of employment up there. And the left is still trying to stop that. They got a judge to put another injunction in to stop it.
Is that the Oak Flats?
Oak Flat, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And I could really offend a lot of people, give you my opinion of Oak Flat, but nobody paid attention to Oak Flat until the lawyers got involved. And there's plenty of acorns to be picked. There's plenty of rocks to climb. They're just trying to stop it because they're against any kind of mining, etc. They've already spent $1 billion, and they haven't mined 1 penny's worth of copper yet. So if they've already done that, just pre-doing the work, just imagine how that's going to make Pinal County boom. And it's not a giant scar on the land. If you drive down from Superior down to Kearney, Winkleman, and Globe, you'll see what they used to do in the 40s and 50s, where you just turned everything upside down and made a big spoil pile. It won't look like that at all. It's just going to sink, and there'll be a big sinkhole there, and with really not a whole lot of damage. And the county needs that. We need so that we don't have to beg for government grants, etc.
So let's go back to Resolution Copper. Is that why there's all that development of the 60 from up there? I've noticed they're widening. They're doing a lot of road work.
That needed to be done.
Well,
Anyway, that's not really for Resolution Copper. So I think we had a pause there. I don't know what we caught or we didn't about how some of the cities in the metro area, because they have these big tax drivers, they're able to do and provide amenities that we have never been able to do.
Sure.
Just look at Queen Creek down there. There's the controversy of the aquatic center that Queen Creek can use it and Santan Valley can't. Because Queen Creek's kind of flourishing.
Yeah.
You know, in Santan Valley, it's county, you know, and but once Resolution Copper and all the car factories get going and LG, then we should have, and we'll be able to lower the property taxes. And a lot of people say, well, you lowered the property taxes, but my taxes went up. That's because the assessed value of your home has gone up. When you go to sell, you want a high assessed value, but when you pay the taxes, you don't.
Yeah.
And there's a several-year lag time, too. So you're actually paying taxes from what your house was worth a few years ago. So that gives an idea of, I said, District 1, District 2, 4. I'm up here in 5. This is what my passion is, 5.
Sure.
And so I'm going to put this one up here now to show this is only District 5. and it's color coded to show some of the problems I have that the others don't. Is over here the brown, that's private land. Green, national forest. Blue, my district is dominated by blue, which is state trust land.
Yeah.
Yellow, Bureau of Land Management. And why did that even happen? That's way back when the government was national forest, states, private, and then BLM got whatever was left over, it seemed. And brown, I even have some Indian reservation. But it doesn't seem to be people that live there. The people at San Carlos, they're up off of the 60. But this is why you'll not really see industry come to District 5 other than Resolution Copper, and down here in Kearney, and some of those mines are still going, Superior. But tourism, people want to see this. And when I was mayor and on council, it always, the Apache Junction jokes, and those are jokes from 30, 40 years ago. We don't have the crime, we don't have the meth.
No.
That was years ago. We're the most beautiful place in the valley, but we still have the worst reputation. And if you come out here and you start looking at the beauty and the, wow, I might want to live out here someday. And how do you get them here is through tourism. And a lot of people that settle here, they visit first. And it may be 6 months, it may be 6 years. But a lot of the people that settle here, it's because they visited. They've either came to Lost Dutchman Days, to the carnival, they've gone to the Renaissance Festival or Country Thunder, and they look at it and say, this would be a better place to live than where I live in the downtown cities. We're talking about the nuance between city and county. Here's Apache Junction up here. The stripes is the city, but you've got thousands of people that live right outside the city. Here, I live right up here.
Yeah.
Then you've got Gold Canyon, Peralta. There's 15,000 people that live right on the edge of the city, which is what you're talking about, how Scottsdale is. And in order for, I think we'll be off camera if we go over here. This is where the city annexed down Ironwood. And then that went to auction and D.R. Horton bought it. And way down here is the LG plant, which is the same way. They went through the motions and they bought chunks of blue to build something.
Yeah, state land.
But it's not easy to just say, hey, let's build something here. Well, it's state trust land. It's got to go to auction. You could be outbid by another company. There's no guarantee you're going to get it. And I'll show you why a resort should happen. Go way up here, we have Lost Dutchman State Park. Hundreds of thousands of visitors. We have the Goldfield Ghost Town. Hundreds of thousands of visitors. There's the Superstition Museum, the Renaissance Festival, the Arboretum, and then we have Country Thunder. We have Barlean's Dinner Theater, which is really a gem people don't know about. It's just like Branson, Missouri, and it's very, very talented in there. And then this is the gateway to the lakes. You go this way, you go up to Tortilla Flat, to the Dolly Steamboat, all the way around the Apache Trail, which my office was really instrumental in getting open. ADOT had no intention of opening Highway 88, and we just built a coalition. We got so many people involved, and we brought ADOT to the table, and they finally saw it, and they opened it up. Yeah. And they didn't have to overspend. We just wanted the minimum. We just wanted it open. We don't need it paved. We don't need fancy. Just get it open. That's the way it's been for 100 years. You could go up there to Fish Creek Hill. It's just spectacular. Drive all the way around to the Tonto National Monument, Roosevelt Lake. Yep. Then you can come all the way around through Globe, and then you come back through Superior. Yep. And this is the gateway to all that. And then they go and they stay in a hotel in Scottsdale or Mesa. Why don't we have one resort out here to do that? Then we can capture more of those sales tax dollars, and we'll lower your property taxes.
So why isn't there a resort?
No corporate entity has seen the
value.
The value in it. We used to have one called the Grand Hotel, right in downtown Apache Junction. It was like a spur, and we used to have Apache Land Studios out in Gold Canyon. That's where a lot of Death Valley Days and a lot of movies were filmed out there. Right. So all of the movie stars stayed at the Grand Hotel, and it's got its own history as well, including Elvis. Everybody that met Elvis has an Elvis story. And Ben Johnson, who lived right in East Mesa, This was kind of his headquarters. But why did a big one never work? I don't know. Maybe because of the state land. Scottsdale, you've got more of the private land and the proximity to shopping, but we could be be more of a horse resort. Maybe something with like ride up stables right out the back where you can just ride up into the mountains, that type of thing.
Sure.
More like a Wickenburg, only, more urban than Wickenburg, somewhere in between. But somewhere in between. I definitely think it would work. So what else does tourism in the other 4 districts? You do have the biosphere down there, which is cool in District 4. And you got some casinos down in the others. We don't have a casino up here, but if we had a casino, we'd have it all, but we don't have the reservation land. Yeah. But if you want to see beauty and hiking, lots of hiking, and that's something that you don't have to pay for it, it's free. And we saw this during COVID. People quit traveling. They stayed home. They did staycations.
Yep.
So you had 5 million people right over here. They were all coming over here and just crashing these trailheads. The parking lots filled up, which led my office to start a public land managers meeting just to protect what we have. Not to seal it up and stop it, but just, hey, what if all of Phoenix comes out here for a weekend? How do we handle that?
Yeah.
And we've actually had a lot of progress. One of the problems we had way up in this area here, where I'll move this map over here now. This is highlighted more of just the Apache Junction area. Way up in this corner, we had a problem that's happening all over the whole state, and it was squatters, not homeless people. Everybody has compassion for the homeless people, and you'll see them here in town. Homeless people can't get out into the remote areas. They don't have the resources. But way up here by the ghost town and its private land, BLM land, state land, forest, it all came together there. There were hundreds of squatters, and they were just people that would come in a dilapidated motorhome or tents, and they were just staying there. They had no intention of leaving, and they were doing a lot of damage and putting all the nice homes at risk. There were fires that started. It almost swept across it all.
Yeah, I remember that.
No sanitation, so they were doing their business in buckets and dumping it in the wash. And just more and more trash. And
did that take place mainly on BLM?
It was in BLM right here.
Okay, BLM.
So we were able to get BLM to come up with a plan to seal their land in, and they're going to actually make it into a park. It's going to be, what the heck is the name of that? But Goldfield. Let's call it the Goldfield, and it's going to be a BLM park, which once it gets built, I hope that the county can then step in and really help run it. And I forgot when I was going over tourism, we have Peralta Park out Peralta Road, and at the end of Peralta Road, there's going to be a resort. It's kind of a glamping resort. It's not a 2, 3, 4 story. It's going to be really low, exclusive, called Tela Peralta, which is going to be cool, and that's out here. But BLM came up with the idea to fence it, post it, and wherever the motorhomes were going, they took and they just did steep ditches, which kept the motorhomes from pulling off.
Right.
And so that took care of the problem here. So a lot of them then went to out Peralta Road, and 2 years ago, if you'd have gone out Peralta, there were 50 to 80 motorhomes just pulled out, doing the same thing. And it all started again.
Yeah, I saw that myself. Yeah.
So we got Public Works to do the same thing. We just took the road graders and just dig ditches all along Peralta so they can't pull off.
Yeah.
You can still use it, you just can't live there.
Right.
And 10, 15 years ago, Apache Junction was known for trailer parks. You'd come in and you'd rent a spot, but they just said, no, I'm just going to live here. And they were doing tremendous damage. And so we've really upgraded the whole area by...
Yeah, and you're allowed to camp on state trust land. You just have to get a permit. And it's for a certain amount of time and all of that stuff. So all these... I mean, that's the great thing about Arizona is our public lands. And I'm a huge proponent of that because I like how it does... it gives you access to so much property.
And if you're a hunter, you can hunt on all of these.
Yep.
You go to Texas, everybody thinks Texas is a sportsman's paradise. It's not, because it's all private land. You have to get permission from those big ranches.
Yeah.
And it's big money selling permission to hunt. Where here, anybody has the same rights to hunt wherever.
Yeah.
And of course, right now, today is May 15th.
Mm-hmm.
May 1st, they enacted fire restrictions. So on BLM and all these, so no open fires, no target shooting, which affects my business, but I don't want the desert to burn up. So I'm glad that they limit target shooting as well.
Yeah.
So you could got to go to indoor ranges or else wait till September, October again to shoot. This is, a lot of people won't even know what we're talking about, but several years ago, several fires were started with tannerite, binary explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in Shoppers Supply and they're still selling it. I think they don't realize it's not legal, but it got banned on all of this land. So you can only set that off on private land.
Property.
One of the ones down, I believe it was Oracle, was a gender reveal where they did an explosion and either the pink or the blue came up and it started a massive fire. And that was one of the last straws for the death of tannerite to be sold.
Yeah.
And then Queen Valley is a notorious shooting place, and it's legal most of the year.
Yep.
But first thing Sunday morning, they were setting off tannerite with just giant booms reverberating through the canyons. And
nobody wants that.
Yeah, and it ruined it for everybody. So the Army Corps of Engineers came in and closed a lot of that because of that. But so I think the reason I pulled this map up there was annexation. I believe we were going to talk about, and then the blue. This was all when I was mayor. The city was from here up, and the city of Apache Junction annexed 6,600 acres down here. Now you can't annex people. There was nobody living there. That's why it went easy. When I was mayor, I asked Gold Canyon, "Hey, do you want to join forces with Apache Junction?" And they didn't understand. They didn't realize what I was going towards. They mistook eminent domain, that we're going to take it over and whatever. And I offered that, no, you could stay Gold Canyon. You'll always be Gold Canyon. It's just that you'll have AJPD, you'll have Parks and Recreation, better dump service. No, we don't want to be Apache Junction. Well, you don't have to be Apache Junction. And I used, what's Ahwatukee? Ahwatukee, what's Phoenix? What's Los Sendas? Los Sendas is Mesa. They're still Los Sendas and Ahwatukee, it's just they're in a city. And a lot of the things that they want out there, Apache Junction could give them, but they wouldn't go for it. And our taxes will go up. No, there's no city property tax. So, and it would have still been Apache Junction or Gold Canyon, but so I dropped that, and I'm now their representative, and I try to bring them some of what Apache Junction has, but Apache, the county does not have parks and recreations. We can't come build pickleball courts. We don't have deals like that. We do regional parks. We don't do little pocket parks like a city does. Had that been Apache Junction, they'd be dropping parks in there and they'd be doing better street maintenance because there's just by sheer volume alone.
So what's a good example of a regional park?
Peralta Regional Park.
Peralta. Okay.
And down in District 1, they've got Palo Verde, which is being developed.
Okay.
And I hope that the county can get a park open every couple years going forward. And Oracle has a state park. We've got Lost Dutchman State Park, but the county alone, we just have very few. And then there's Santan. So eventually we're going to have to hire a park ranger too, to maintain it, because our deputies are spread very thin.
Well,
and, I don't want to scare people, and I don't want to give criminals any ideas, but between Apache Junction and top of the world, there may only be 2 to 3 deputies at any one time, and if they're in Superior, they're not here. Or that was one of the reasons why, hey, you'd have police patrolling here all the time. And so this is what you talked about 24 early on, so we get to it. So here again, we're up in Apache Junction, Gold Canyon, Peralta, 60 and beyond, Globe, Miami, Safford, New Mexico, Show Low. They all come in that way. Santan Valley down here, this 24 right now is to Ironwood. It needs to go all the way across the canal, come all the way beyond the Renaissance Festival, which will relieve all of that Renaissance traffic. Right now it's all here, and it'll back up sometimes all the way to Signal Butte. I've seen it.
Yeah.
We give the Renaissance Festival its own exit on the backside. Boom, 60's open. You also make 24 dedicated truck route. One of the problems with Gold Canyon is the over-the-road truckers going through there, blowing through those red lights.
Mm-hmm.
Put signs here, all truck exit must exit
24.
unless you're delivering to the Bashes or the Walgreens, which the truckers will like anyway because they don't want to have to deal with those red lights.
No.
And once you're down here, you're on the 101, the 202, you're loose in the valley. And but right now there's no money for it. I could talk for 20 minutes about the half-cent sales tax that passed, and then the Goldwater Institute fought against and took it back, and all the money that got accumulated that's still sitting there.
Well, I'm going to stop you. So what we had talked about earlier, and what a lot of people don't understand, and I hear this, they go, well, how come the county's not finishing? How come they're not putting in 24? And I'm like,
because right here it's SR 24, it's State Route 24, it's not County Road 24.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of times we as citizens get this idea in our head that, well,
yeah, why are you spending money on that building? Give us a road. Well, it's different pots of money where it comes from.
Yeah.
And
so who's in charge of the?
This will be
Arizona?
ADOT.
That's
and
ADOT.
We're getting ADOT right away right now, and
Arizona Department of Transportation's.
And ADOT is run by a board, which we have a representative that's a former mayor of Gilbert. So that's great that they do know it needs to be done, but the state budget, federal budget, will there be federal funds flowing again? I think that's what Trump is doing now. He's pulled like all the money back.
Yeah.
Because there was so much being wasted in places like California that, okay, if you're going to waste this money, we're not giving you any more. Just like the same way with the Colorado River water. California wastes their portion. We use ours very wisely, so as does Nevada.
Yeah.
And because they ruin it for everybody by running it out in the ocean. So I think California should get very little Colorado water. But then I'm hoping that those government grants will start coming in and they can kick in here. You also see that pink right down the middle. And when this was on the ballot, it was we promised the north-south interconnect, and that didn't resonate with people.
Right.
But it's now been given a designation of the 505. And this is Silly Mountain up here. I'm pushing to call it, when it gets built, the Silly Mountain Freeway, because you got the Red Mountain Freeway, the Piastawa Superstition Freeway.
Yeah.
And this will be a straight shot all the way down to the I-10. You won't have to go all the way to Florence Junction. And Santan Valley will just flow also. But I think I mentioned before, being in the Midwest, you have, a lot of cities have something called an outer belt. You've got like I-70, I-77, then you got an outer belt. This valley is so dang big, we will have an outer belt. The 101, 202, 303 is an outer belt. The 505 and 404 isn't a belt beyond there. That's how big we are and how we have to need to move.
So does the 505, does that fall completely under the state, under Arizona Department of Transportation, or is that a federal
Yes,
roadway?
but Supervisor Goodman, who knows roads, he's the road guy. We are talking about the Central Arizona Parkway, which will run beside here, which will be more for growth. You know, when you get a freeway, you don't pull off to go to the gas station. You got to get off and get onto the
on the surface street.
The parkway would be more like a, you know, how a rural road kind of follows I-10. It's a, you know, so that's what the parkway would be for. Now that would be a county project, and so you'll see it being mentioned sometimes more so than the 505 and the 24, because we do have more influence on it. So when citizens see that, well, that's great. When are you going to build it? Well, we don't have any money, you know. We watched
Yeah.
the presentation yesterday on ASU that you feed all this info into a computer and it tells you what you should do. And it's so wonderful. Okay, all right, we don't have money to do that. So how do you do it, you know? As we take in tax dollars from resolution when they get up and running, and back to again that the half-cent sales tax being reversed by the court because, and the reason most people are familiar with that, but they put a stipulation in there that
I'd say most people are not.
yeah, the car lobby, the car company, the car sellers lobbied that they would be exempt over $10,000, and that made it unconstitutional. And they actually, we lost that. But this would be on the way to being built had that not been overturned by the Goldwater Institute, which has nothing to do with Barry Goldwater, by the way. It's just a name they picked, and they think they're doing good things, but they're really hurting the people. And they should be watchdogs over the money, but not to the extent where it hurts us and puts us behind the 8 ball. The growth happened before the roads.
Yeah.
And had Santan Valley been a city way back when, they would have prepared for it. But there's no downtown down there either. You know,
No.
Apache Junction doesn't really have an actual downtown. It's just, it was a intersection, a junction,
Right.
and business started growing. We do have a cool city hall right across the street and in this county complex. But had you master planned this back in the 50s and 60s, you would have made a downtown. So you go to like Gilbert, they have an actual downtown.
Yeah.
Mesa has a downtown because it was right there, that it grew from there.
Yeah.
Back to my tour business, I used to tell about how we've all grown together. We're the biggest city in the country, metro area, not one city. But you go all the way to Buckeye, all the way to Gold Canyon, up to Anthem, down there.
And it's all connected now.
It's all connected. And it was all stagecoach stops. If you think about this, from Phoenix to Tempe, it's 15 miles. Tempe to Mesa, 15 miles.
Yep.
Mesa to Apache Junction, 15 miles. Florence Junction, 15 miles. Superior, 15 miles. Globe, 15 miles. Florence, 15 miles that way. Those were all stagecoach stops of how far they could actually get until they had to change and fuel up or whatever. But then they've all grown together. They used to be independent, and now you're from one city. Well, am I in Glendale or Surprise or whatever the heck those cities are called over there? I don't go over there. I try not to go beyond.
What we talked about the planning and zoning and all of these developments, and kind of where you guys can begin and end on basically green lighting some of these developments, and kind of how that process works in a nutshell. And maybe that's too
By
much,
developments, you mean housing?
Housing,
Because
yeah. Let's just
lately
say
we're
housing,
getting
yeah.
more solar, which I want to talk about too, coming up.
Okay.
But yeah, if it's private land and they go through all the right paperwork, they're allowed to build stuff.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, in the past, these builders were like the government down there, and they even started their own water company and whatever, and that had to be wrested away from them and turned over because they were, it was like a TV movie where you had these developers were lording over everything, and we righted the ship on that, and now we're doing it a little more planning and thinking from here on out. Let's go back to the whole county.
Yeah. So I know in your area where there's not a lot of development as far as housing, because you don't have a lot of the private land, but let's talk about solar, because that's...
Yeah. Well, there is a lot of coming down Ironwood between Apache Junction and Santan Valley. You got that whole D.R. Horton, thousands of people living down there. But yeah, solar, and I think the previous board, we've had they wanted to be the green county and the solar county, and when I came into office 5 years ago, solar, that's pretty cool, whatever, and then you just, after seeing one after another, and the city of Coolidge is just completely flanked by solar now, and they've had enough. And we just stopped one 2 weeks ago, And here again, remember in my opening statement was, this is my opinion, not anybody else's. I can't speak for the others, but I don't see any new solar being approved from here on out, unless it's way down where nobody has to look at it. Because the problem with solar, and we want good growth, we want nice developments. Once solar comes, that's it. That's all you're ever going to get is solar. Solar stops everything else. Casa Grande now, or Coolidge now, thinks they can't go this way because nobody wants to build up against solar, and it's not really that efficient. You hear a lot of how solar optimum, it's from like 60 to 90 degrees. We get so hot, the solar actually doesn't work. It's too hot, too much sun, believe it or not. Yeah. And I'm more for the gas. There's a big gas project coming, and gas is, we're both from back east. Gas is there. Gas is basically free, even though it's not free.
Yeah.
There's not going to be coal. I think coal's not going to happen. And we can't poll the other supervisors because of open meeting law, which we could go into for 20 minutes also. Everybody thinks we all communicate. We can't. If I talk to more than one supervisor about something, I've broken the law. I can't go to 4 and 2 both. Hey, we're going to get this vote. I want you both to vote on this. I just broke the law. I can be kicked out of office for open meeting law. That's why we have the meetings. We have to discuss this in person if you have a majority. So I can only talk to 1, 2 out of 5. And,
so all of these decisions, and I found this strange, and I had a conversation about this with somebody else recently, and we got talking about that public meeting law thing, and I said, how does that, like, how do you guys form a consortium? I mean, when it only takes place in these public meetings, when it's the only time you guys are legally allowed to discuss these things, it's like, well, no wonder why some of this stuff gets so long, far into the weeds.
Yeah. In my private business, if I see something that needs done, I make the phone call today, it happens tomorrow. In the county, right now, we don't have another meeting for 2 weeks. We get something on the agenda for 2 weeks, we talk about it, it's discussed, it gets put on the next meeting, 3 weeks.
To be discussed
you
again.
Vote it, yeah. So it's taken a month to make that decision. Where in private, we could do that in 1 day. And it's good that I thought it was foolish at first, but it's good so that we don't have everything decided. Nothing's decided basically until we get to those meetings. Just like that last solar vote, that surprised some people. It needed a super majority of 4 to 1, and we were able to defeat it 2 to 3, and 3 to 2, and the 3 newer supervisors were not really sold on solar, and I do get the feeling though, and introducing this, you're going to start hearing more about micro-nuclear. This is not Palo Verde. Palo Verde is the biggest in the West.
Yeah.
We don't need that with the big towers.
No.
You can drop a nuclear reactor onto a submarine. You can do a little nuclear reactor out here in the middle of nowhere that can power all of Gold Canyon and Peralta.
Yeah.
You can do one down here that would do all of Eloy, and they're clean, they're self-contained, and it doesn't have that ugly footprint that solar has. And it's very efficient. You go to France, France doesn't have one dam, they don't have one coal factory, it's all nuclear.
Sure.
They still don't have the components to just do these little micronuclears yet because the components aren't there, but they do have the idea of how it should work. And it is clean and it is safe.
Yeah.
We worry about earthquakes, and then those big ones like Fukushima, not Fukushima, was on a fault, and that was a problem. So
sure,
you put these where they on a big enough slab that it can't be ruptured. It should be perfectly safe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at how long even Palo Verde's been operating without any incident. And most people forget about that thing's even out there until you drive by it. And you're like, wow, that's a weird looking building. Oh.
Yeah. Now, over here, this is all SRP. APS is over here. Mm-hmm. Can they then lower our rates once it gets paid for? You know, we always promise that, well, we're going to get all this solar, our rates will come down. It doesn't come down.
Yeah.
That's, what
always is, I mean, a question that I've always had, and and you probably won't be able to answer this, but we have these massive canal systems that run all through Pinal County, and yet we have no hydroelectric on them, and that water flows 24/7. I mean, I come from an ag background, and I look at all that moving water, and I go, why aren't we doing that instead of solar? But
yeah, it doesn't move that fast, and it doesn't drop. Now, what I've always wondered is why does San Carlos, why does that dam not have a turbine in it?
yeah,
Way back when it's only used for irrigation.
yeah,
You know, if the feds want to spend $1 billion, drop a turbine into San Carlos and generate. Because down south is this San Carlos Electric Company, whatever it's called. It's the worst one in the country, and
yeah.
they need
San
some.
Carlos irrigation project.
Yeah,
they supply my electricity. So.
Yeah, no, down south there, they're
I mean,
they're not that great. There again, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not the other fours, and it's not staff's. You know.
Yeah. Well, everybody faces their challenges, right? And all these things, and being a federal entity trying to be in the private sector as far as electrical sales, I can only imagine what those guys run into on the day-to-day basis of.
Yeah, and the county is
They have
not.
their own
That's,
unique
you
challenges.
touched on something. There is no county water. There's no county electric. There's no county trash. It's all private operating.
Sure.
You know, you go to City of Mesa, City of Gilbert. They have city water. They have city trash, and we don't.
Yeah.
We're not in that business.
No. Which is good in some ways.
Yeah.
Some ways.
I wish that they'd had to operate under the Corporation Commission a little bit more than they do. Nobody can tell SRP what to do or not to do, which isn't right. You know, they should have to.
Yeah. Should be some more oversight.
Yeah.
So other than, I mean, with solar, with this expansion of solar, and I know that the current administration is saying that they're not, they're not going to do these blanket funding that was taking place for all that. Do you think that's going to drop?
I think that's gonna. Yeah, I think
the request?
a lot of these big companies, they saw that big pool of money in Washington with $1 trillion in there. Hey, we should do a solar project, and we'll give you a salary of $5 million, and I'll get a salary of $4 million, and then they don't even build something. That's all going to stop, and I think that's what Doge is doing there. No, you can't waste that. California was notorious for, give us this, we'll build this high-speed rail that we don't need, and everybody gets salaries, and everybody's wife gets a salary, and the brother-in-law gets to be the PR guy. That needs to stop.
Yeah. Well, and I think they just.
And even electric vehicles, which I'm glad that we have two in our county.
Yeah.
They're not going to be subsidized like they were either.
They're now one.
Yeah. Well, the other one's coming back. You know, it's going to be one is going to own both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is going to be more efficient.
Yeah. What we're talking about is Lucid and the Nikola. And Nikola, Lucid already has they have their sign on the Nikola building. I mean, those guys wasted no time in making sure everybody knew who owned that now.
If people don't want to buy an electric car, the government shouldn't be forcing them, which California was saying, Biden administration was saying, we're going to make you. No, we don't want it.
Yeah.
I want to drive all the way to Flagstaff and back on one tank of gas. I can do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to get up there and then have to charge for 45 minutes to get back.
Yeah.
And it's just the technology's not there.
Yeah.
If you only buzz around town, they might be fine.
Yeah.
But not if
you're in my kids have an electric vehicle in Germany, but they live in a city. You know, their average commute is 5 miles.
Well, a lot of Europe
every other day.
A lot of Europeans don't own a car, period.
Yeah.
They ride buses or walk.
Yeah.
They don't have fridges full of food either because they go to their little market every day on the way home and buy what they're going to eat that day.
Yeah.
We have guns and food and electric and gas cars. So that's what I mean about we take care of ourselves.
Come to Pinal County,
exactly.
Right? That's a great mantra. Now, one other thing, do you ever think that there was always talk as a kid about we talked about the rail line that comes through Casa Grande. There was always this talk about interconnecting Phoenix and Tucson with a rail line. Has that ever shown up on anything that you've seen that might be something that they come down?
No, because I'm up here in District 5, I really don't know about that.
Don't know anything.
There was talk about doing an inland port down in the southern part of the county with customs, and then things would come right in from the coast, go through customs down in the south, which they have over in the Mesa Gateway Airport. They have this agreement with Mexico called Skybridge, where there's customs right in Mesa, which makes it very efficient to shipping back and forth to Mexico. Sure. I think we should do that with all of South America. But no, other than that, I'm not. If I don't know about it, I don't act like I do. So I don't know about that.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of things, and we're getting kind of long, and I know you have some other things, but
I had 5 things to talk about. We've talked about almost all of them.
Okay. I've got one other thing, and I think what most people, one of the questions that I got from several people is what I should say is what does a usual day, like your work day, look like as a supervisor?
It varies. I will have some days when I have 30 minutes of work. Then I'll have a day which is from 7 o'clock to 7 at night, and you just have to be on call. And speaking of being on call, my wife doesn't even like to go shopping with me. We were pushing a cart. Hey, Mayor Serdy, Supervisor Serdy, come over here. I want to tell you about. My wife rolls her eyes, and I have to find her 2 aisles over.
Right.
So yeah, we're at.
Yeah.
If you're known, then you have to deal with that too.
Yeah. And you should be known as a public official, but there's
and
office hours, right?
Yeah, but my phone number's out there also. I get calls at all times.
Yeah.
But my staff is excellent. I tell people, I'm the sounding board. The way I run the office is like I'm the old-time switchboard operator. Oh, you have a problem with code enforcement, I plug them into this person. You need a building permit, my staff and we tell them. The best tool that I have is my contact list in my phone, because I don't solve these problems, but staff does, or else we'll get an outside agency. Maybe they need the National Forest, it's their problem, or state land. We have their contacts and we'll put you in touch with them.
Yeah, and I think that there's this misnomer that there isn't a difference between the elected officials and the staff, and I've kind of ran into that with just on offhand conversations that I've had with people especially about this podcast. And I'm like, no, you're talking about an employee who takes his orders from the supervisors, but it's more of a, hey, this is the direction we want to go. I said, and then it's up to those employees to figure out how that they move forward with that legally. I said, first of all, because
you left one out. We don't talk directly to employees. I talk to my staff.
Yeah.
But we have, just like the mayor doesn't make decisions, the cities have city managers. We have a county manager. I shouldn't go see a public works guy. Hey, I want you to go grade this road.
No,
I don't have that. If I want that, I go to this county manager. Hey, I would like to see you get public works to grade this road.
Yeah,
I went through proper channels that way.
Yeah,
but that's the way. And then we set the budget, and then we set the overall tone of, are we going away from solar or not? That's what we're feeling.
Yeah.
But I just can't say I don't want any solar in District 5. The other 4 may want it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how it goes. Is you got county managers and city managers. Same way with the sheriff, and you have city cops and you have the county. I can't pull over a deputy. Hey, I want you to go look into this.
Right.
We got a sheriff that got elected to that.
Yeah.
Hey, sheriff, chief deputy, I think this is happening. Why don't you guys look into it?
Yeah.
But it's not up to me to be pulling, employees and talking to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there's been a bit of misinformation, I guess, for lack of a better term, about how that structure works. So we have the five supervisors, and then underneath you we have the
county manager.
Yeah, county manager.
And you interviewed the deputy county manager, Himanshu.
Yep.
And there's 3. There's also Mary Ellen Shepard, who's more of human resources and employees. So with those 3, they because it's too much for one to do.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Like I said, we're some counties, the county where I'm from in Ohio is 10,000 people in the whole county.
Yeah.
We're at 500,000.
Yeah.
Maricopa County has 5 million. And there's going to be something about doing some more buildings. But you have to understand, with only 15 counties, we want the government to be here. That's why we need some extra buildings. And it looks like we're wasting money, but if we don't know it now, 20 years from now, say, man, why didn't we build that?
Yeah.
And the biggest expense in that is they want another court building. And it's tough to stomach because you go there and you look at that giant court building now. Why is that not enough? But there's no juvenile in there. And I'm not completely sold on it, but all the other, we've built a new complex for District 2 and District 1. They have complete new complexes. I'm in one of the oldest complexes here.
Yeah.
And there's a justice court right next door. They don't have any room to have little meetings. And it was okay for 40 years ago, but not now. So this complex needs some upgrades. We need a conference room. The court, and I would have showed you how public health is over here. They're just crammed into corners, and so we're not getting any smaller. If we have this conversation in 20 years, we'll be at 700,000 people still operating in the tinier, smaller buildings. So build it now while the construction costs are cheaper.
Yeah.
Some
Pinal
places
County's
in
gonna
the
grow.
back east, they are getting. I mean, Detroit in the 1950s was the nicest city in America,
Yeah.
and they're down to like 300,000 people, and it's in ruins.
Yeah.
Where did those people go? A lot of them are out here.
Yeah. A lot.
And then just in my lifetime, I saw all these people move to California. Okay, they're gone. Now they're all coming back. They're leaving California. They're not going back to Detroit, but they're coming back to Arizona, Idaho, Colorado. Some of them are bringing their California mentalities here, which we don't want. We want the good Californians.
Yeah.
But there's a constant shift like that. And right now they're shifting to here. And Pinal County and the whole country, we're like in the top 3 of growth.
I know. And those numbers are crazy when you think about the speed at which that is happening.
So I wanted to bring one thing up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just letting you know, here I'm one of 5. I'm against this trend for building housing developments, and they're all rentals. And I want young people to be able to buy houses. They get into these rental communities, they'll never own a house. It's like people that lease a car, and then they have to give it up in 2 years, and they have no equity there. If you buy a car, even if you haven't paid it off, you've got something there. That's the way we used to buy houses. And you see the apartment complexes going up all over. Who's going to live there? And the rent is high. It's $2,000 a month just to get an apartment.
Yeah.
I want there to be home ownership. Part of the reasoning is the 100-year assured water supply doesn't apply to apartments and rentals. And I think it's a way. That's a way for them to get away from it. That's why you're seeing the trend of these big developers doing 20 acres of rentals, which I'm against.
So they do not have to.
They don't have to comply. When I ran in 2020, I was thinking of going for there's a stupid motorist law.
Mm-hmm.
I was considering going after stupid hiker ordinances. And then, oh no, you can't do that. We got to save. Well, yes, you do have to rescue people.
Yes.
If you go hiking in January when it's 60 degrees, you could do it in a couple bottles of water. Then yes, you get in trouble. We're going to rescue you, and at the expense of all the taxpayers. But if you're warned not to go in, like we just had an incident, you feel bad for the family.
Yeah.
Do not go hiking from now until October. It's stupid. You're warned not to.
Yeah.
I don't care if you go to the gym and you work out hard for 45 minutes. You can't live out there. You can't carry enough water to live. And then we had several incidences. We had 44 fitness instructors from Iowa. They all got stranded in the superstitions. It cost over $100,000 for the rescue to get them all out. And they went in August.
Wow.
They just thought it would be a good idea. Well, we're strong and in shape.
Yeah.
Then around that same time, we had base jumpers where you climb up the superstitions, you
Yeah.
jump off, and this thing opens up and you glide down. 2 weeks got carried back into the mountain, had to be rescued at the peril of, we put our rescue people at peril. They
Sure.
should have had to pay for that, because daredevils should have to pay for their own rescues.
Oh, yeah.
You know, same way with the people that buzz around on little lawnmower motors with wings. If they crash, you know, and the same way with people that try to circumvent the globe in a balloon. Yeah, it's sad that he died, but nobody told you to get in a balloon and try to go around the world, you know.
Yeah, that was kind of your choice.
Exactly. And it's the same way with base jumping and things like that. So
you
should just, we'll save you. You just have to get your checkbook out when it's all over.
Yeah, just
So-
make sure before you
and
go and do
that's
that.
really low priority, and I've kind of dropped it because the base jumping stopped, and hopefully the people stop hiking. And don't take your dogs either. I don't know if you've heard the noise down here, but my dog's down here snoring.
Yeah.
But I know what she can do and what she can't. She's tougher than most dogs.
Sure.
Dogs that don't go out and hike, their feet are soft.
Yeah.
Her feet are acclimated to it. But even there's an extent to what she can take and what she can't.
Yeah.
And I always carry, all of our little different offices give out different swag.
Yeah.
One of the things I give out is little Pinal County dog bowls. And
Nice. Yeah.
we're never without that. And yeah, you may be okay, but your dog's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to take into account before you go and push your limits, and this is an extreme environment. I mean, all of Pinal County is an extreme environment. It doesn't matter where
Same
you're
way
at.
with taking little kids hiking. The kids don't, their stomach's that big where ours is this big. You've got to keep pumping water into those kids because they may not take it like you can.
Okay, one last question. We'll let you go. I know you got to get out of here, and we appreciate your time. What's the biggest challenge right now for your district that you are up against? That you would like, that you could use our help as far as input or anything else?
Not to the extent of District 2, but the 24, the 505, it's roads as well. 80% of what questions I get, it's, hey, build us a road, fix the road we always have, or we need new roads.
Yeah.
And where I got potholes.
And these are things that could go to the state. As
Yeah, but
constituent,
county,
as citizens, that's who we should be talking to. I mean, we can bring it to you, but ultimately it's our state representatives that need to hear
on the
that.
bigger roads.
Yeah, on the 24,
Yeah.
the 505, and
But yeah, the little tiny county roads, that's our responsibility, and we do a good job of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they run for these offices. They think, yeah, I want to do that. I could go up there and vote. That looks easy. But it's the stuff that you do in between with my staff of handling that pothole call or the crowing rooster that bothers people or lights shining in the windows at night and solving disputes. And everybody, yeah, it looks glamorous to only be talking about election integrity stuff and whatever and getting on the national news, but it's not all that. There's a job here to be done, and that is representing when we do get these calls for assistance, and a lot of code enforcement problems. Why does that property over there? You got $1 million property here, and then over here you got a guy that has 36 junk cars and 10 motorhomes that don't run.
yeah,
They just, and then that brings in the pack rats, and that brings in whatever. So
yeah,
we deal with a lot of stuff like that. It's not all about,
no,
saving the elections and doing whatever, which
Build
we are
freeways.
trying to do. We've done a better job than Maricopa County, and like I said, Pima County's a lost cause down there. I don't think they ever have a legitimate election down there.
Alrighty. Well, hey, I know you got to get out of here. We appreciate your time.
Okay. Hopefully
thank
it
you,
was.
sir.
Hopefully I didn't ramble and go on too many
No, it's been great.
tangents, and maybe in a year or so we can. After you've gone through, we can do this again and revisit,
Yeah,
and only talk about what's happened in the last year and what if maybe we'll be talking about nuclear by then.
that would be awesome.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, sir.